You've probably heard about a conference that's happening next week. That's a big economic summit of countries. But there's another economic summit that's happening next week. Do you know about it? There's actually two. I'll tell you about both of them coming up next. Okay, so I'm going to jump right into it. We got two stories to talk about. One of them, you probably heard about this conference, and I'm going to start with that one. And it is the BRICS summit that's happening next week, and that starts next week. Now, some people have, but we were told for many, many times that it was going to be happening in Durban, South Africa, but it's actually going to happen in Johannesburg, however you want to say it. It's the 15th summit. It's happening August 22nd to 24th at this convention center, Sandton Convention Center in Johannesburg. And it's gonna be there, and it's the first in-person meeting since 2019, I believe. Now that 2019 is going to come up about the other conference that's going to be happening. The first meeting of that one was in 2019 as well. I'll tell you about that in a moment. But first, let's talk about BRICS real quick. Who's attending? 5 countries, 5 are our own person: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. All the leaders of these countries will be there, except for Russia's leader, because President Putin he's wanted on a warrant for his arrest because of activities that are going on with this country and another country. Won't go into that. You can piece that together. You get the idea. But we're talking about what's going to be happening there. There's been invitations sent to 67 leaders of other countries there, from Africa to Latin America, Asia, the Caribbean. Who knows who's going to attend? We've heard France. We've heard a number of other countries that have already applied to join BRICS. 20 dignitaries, including the Secretary General of the UN, will be there. There's a lot of people that's going to be there. All right, business leaders too. What's going to be discussed? A couple things. First off, one of the more important and controversial issues, according to this article, is that the leaders are going to expect to discuss how to expand BRICS and what's the methodology for accepting new members, because they don't really have a methodology yet. They're still forming that. This is a loose alliance. The name BRICS came from an article, I think, from a writer 15 years ago, which is the acronym of 15 emerging countries. 23 countries have formally applied to join BRICS. You see highlighted here, including Saudi Arabia, Iran, the UAE, Argentina, who's voting on a new president now. That's another story I'll save for later. Indonesia, Egypt, and Ethiopia are just an example. And other things on the list, they don't go into it, but they're going to talk about geopolitics and leadership and trade. There's also talk about establishing a new common currency for these countries as a new world currency that could be used. Now, before I get into the second conference, I just want to say, and I've said it before several times, two or more global currencies can exist at once. That happened between 1913 and 1944. The British pound was declining, but the U.S. dollar was inclining. In World War I, the British pound had to go off of the world. They went off the gold standard officially because of World War I. They tried to get back on after World War I, before World War II. Didn't go so well. And then the U.S. basically emerged at Bretton Woods in 1944 as the de facto global currency because the pound couldn't keep up. Now, so it took like almost 30 years to transition from the pound over to the U.S. officially as the global currency. Now we could be having 2, maybe 3. We have the dollar, we have Bitcoin, because countries are using Bitcoin. It's becoming very well established and being used. And now we may have a BRICS currency, which we don't have a name for yet. But the timing of this conference is interesting. I want to point out one more time. Let me show this one more time. The conference is being held August 22nd to 24th. That is highlighted right here in yellow. August 22nd to 24th. Now, I'm going to talk about this conference over in Jackson Hole, Wyoming in the United States. They are looking for the response to the Jackson Hole Economic Policy Symposium in 2023. This is the 4th, maybe the 5th one. That was first happened in 2019. And this is for the Federal Reserve Chairman to meet. So Jerome Powell and other Federal Reserve chairmen, there's I think a dozen of them that will meet in Jackson Hole to talk about economic policy. And it starts on August 24th. the day the BRICS conference ends. Interesting timing there. The topic, or the title of this, is Structural Shifts in the Global Economy. Really interesting timing that's happening as the BRICS conference closes and happens right afterwards. Also interesting to note is that the full agenda has not been released, and the schedule and the full agenda that will be hopefully available on August 24th or August 25th. Well, I'd hope that they have it on the 25th, because the event will be midway or halfway over by then. Odds are we're going to get it announced probably on the 24th. They're going to wait to see what happens at the BRICS conference. That's probably what's going to go on. Digging in a little further, and I don't see anywhere I haven't seen anyone else talk about this. So hopefully this is news to you. Please like, share, subscribe, get this out there. It really helps out our channel. Really appreciate that. That helps. It encourages us to do more work and research for you guys. So prominent central bankers, finance ministers, academics, and financial market participants from all around the world will gather in Wyoming's Jackson Hole Valley to debate pressing economic and financial concerns. This sounds like a press release more than anything else. Anyway, the Jackson Hole Symposium has historically been used by Fed chairs to give an update on the state of the economy and to hint at potential policy changes. Now, again, this is only the fifth one. They started in 2019. So they had one in Kansas City last year. They talked about reassessing constraints on the economy and policy and managing inflation. And that's what the rest of the article kind of goes into. So I'm like, I highlighted the important parts, I believe, but I'll put both links in the description. I wanted to share both of these to you to see that there's not just one, but there's two major conferences. Now, everybody's focused on BRICS and the 5 nations that are all meeting, at least 5. We know the 5 BRICS nations, and 4 of them will be represented by their presidents, and 1 will be represented by, I think, an ambassador, but Putin's going to attend virtually. And then you have other countries that want to join that'll be there, and other countries, like up to 67, could be there because they've all been invited. It's a major, major conference that's happening in South Africa, especially with the news about like who could join, how will you join the BRICS in the future, which I'm not sure they've never had a real policy on that before, because they've been a loose alliance. They never had such interest. And now there's more interest because of the new global currency they could be announcing. But I wanted to point out, as a key part of this video, the Jackson Hole meeting, which no one's talking about. So the Federal Reserve is going to be meeting. Jerome Powell is going to be there, odds are, and as the rest of the Federal Reserve chairman of the regional Federal Reserve banks. That's like, you see those stamps on dollar bill. I get a dollar bill here. So you got a dollar bill here, and you got this little letter, right? That F represents Atlanta, Georgia. So that's one of the 12 to 14 of the mints and Federal Reserves and regions of the country. I think it's 12 that are all, that's how the U.S. is broken down in different regions. I know Kansas City is one, San Francisco, Philadelphia, Boston, New York, all those different major cities around the country are where Federal Reserves are. So pay attention, like not just to BRICS, but what comes afterwards. So August 22nd to 24th, let's see, the 22nd, I believe, is a Tuesday. Yes. So the 22nd to 24th, that's Tuesday to Thursday. And then you have another conference starting on the 24th through Saturday. So it's going to happen all the way to the weekend. So I would not be surprised at all to see sneaky reports leaked out Friday night, Saturday, when they try to slip it by everybody and say, hey, we're going to change our economic policy to do this as a reaction to what BRICS is doing. Now, they won't position it that way. They won't say it that way. But that's really what they're doing. That's why they don't have an agenda yet. They want to see what happens with BRICS conference first, and then they want to react and respond. So, lots said today. I hope that this is informative to you. Again, please like, share, subscribe, help us grow the channel. We're really trying to get to that 1,000 number so we can go live and add even more value. We're adding more value with stuff that is across the bottom here with the Silver Symposium and Sound Money Symposium that's happening at the end of September. Discounted tickets are in the description. And also we have the Becoming Your Own Bank course that we've made. And there's a code here to get 50% off of that. Have at it. So please leave a comment as well if you want to see more videos on more topics. We always are looking for good ideas, and the best ideas all come from you. So I really appreciate you spending a portion of your day with myself and Economic Preppers. And I will see you in the next video. Take care.